Well, what's the love? Still, it's a great.
We're live.
Tyler. Okay, go back.
I think it's coming back.
Good evening. Today is Monday, November 17th, and welcome to a meeting of the Concord School Board of Trustees. This meeting is a meeting of the school board in public for the purposes of conducting the school corporation's business and is not considered a public community meeting. There will be time for public participation about agenda items as listed on the agenda. If you'd like to address the board, fill out a yellow card just like this, which can be found on the table over there, and get that into Mrs. Warren, and then you can speak. Okay, pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hey. And one of my favorite things, which is also called Good Things, is from Eastside. And Mr. Teal and his small students are going to present. Small students. Poor guys. I guess they're cute students. Okay.
That's great, yes. Good evening. Thank you, school board, for having Eastside. At Eastside, we have a lot of awesome after-school activities. So we wanted to highlight one this evening. So we have Mrs. Lane, who is in charge of our drama club, and she's going to take it away.
Awesome. Hello, everybody. So yeah, I'm here to talk to you about Eastside's Drama Club. I just kind of wanted to talk to you first about where it began. So I actually am fortunate enough to also get to work with our high school students with our musical each year. And one year I had students from Eastside come and say, I wish we could do something like that, which kind of began this journey to create our Eastside Drama Club. So we started the spring of 2024. Students performed a reader's theater for the book The Day the Crayons Quit. We had 25 third and fourth graders. And we actually ended up having a wait list of 20 kids who were also still interested. So it was cool to see that there was such an interest for that. We performed 2 shows. One was during the day for our K-2 students. And then we did another one after school in our gym for families, which I know they really appreciated getting to see. Then the next year, which was this previous year, we actually ended up doing 2 drama clubs, one in the fall for 3rd, and then another one for 4th grade in the spring. We had about 20 to 22 for both clubs. Our 3rd graders performed once again The Day the Crayons Quit. Our 4th graders performed a 2-part show, Cinderella, and then the real story of the 3 little pigs. Once again, we got to perform that for our parents as well as the kids at the school. And what I've loved most about this is we've gotten to watch kids who might be shyer get to become confident. Students who might struggle with reading get to practice their literacy skills in a real setting, which has been really cool to watch. Which brings me to this year. This year we're partnering with our music teacher, Mrs. Janice. So she puts on our Christmas program each year. And this year our drama club is actually the parts in between the songs. So they're acting out different scenes and then getting the opportunity to also perform songs in between. Which brings me to my next part. I actually brought 3 students here, 3 boys that I'm going to call up here. This is Oliver, Kevin, and Austin, if you want to come on over, boys. And they're actually going to present for you guys one of their skits as well as a song. Do you want to go grab your props, sir? And then, gentlemen, once you're ready, you guys can take it away.
God, I think I know what my secret sense. Definitely Mr. Till or Mrs. Newsfont. Can you imagine what they'll give us? Maybe no homework or extra recess. Or maybe both. That'd be the best Secret Santa ever.
Wait, what's going on? What's Secret Santa?
Okay, here's the deal. Everyone gets a person's name, gives them a gift.
Like, keep it a secret for the big reveal. Huh? I still don't know if I understand.
Here, let us explain. Secret Santa, everybody write your name. Secret Santa, this is how we're gonna start the game. Secret Santa, hold it up and after that, Secret Santa, put your name into the Santa Claus hat. Whether I have you or you have me, we're gonna put a Christmas present underneath the Christmas tree. Secret Santa, here is what it's all about. Secret Santa, me for Christmas tree. Now we're really looking wise, not to spoil the surprise. Don't wanna give it away. If you're clever and perhaps we keep it under wraps until that very special day. Secret Santa, all of us have guessed. Secret Santa comes the part that is the best. Secret Santa, you tell me and I tell you. Secret Santa, if the guesses were all so true. Whether I have you or you have me, we're gonna put a Christmas present underneath the Christmas tree. Don't wanna give it away until that very special day. Secret Santa, in review, here's what you do. Secret Santa, give a gift and give one too. Secret Santa, in the end, you will come to believe it's better to give than it is to receive. Whether I have you or you have me, we're gonna lock the secret up and throw away the key. Whether I have you or you have me, we're gonna put a Christmas present underneath the Christmas tree.
So these kids have worked really hard memorizing lines, working on different parts, choreography, things like that we've been working on every single week. You can see them at our Christmas program in just a couple of weeks. Thank you guys so much.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Great job. So we'll take a pause if the students and their families would like to leave. But if you want to stay for the rest of the meeting, it'll be very riveting, but yeah. So we'll take a few minutes in case you guys want to leave. Thank you for coming. It was great.
Thank you guys, good job.
Great job. It was. I love entertainment. People sing can't leave our house behind. Okay. I would be willing to do it. What?
She said we need more people singing. I said we can have Jim sing the financial report.
Oh. Okay, Courtney or who? Okay, next up, hearing of visitors. Do we have any additional yellow cards? Okay, so we have one card this evening from Kristen Edson.
Yes. Hello. Good evening. I'm the new executive director of the Elkhart Public Library, so I wanted to come and introduce myself and say I'm finally here. We have been without a director since the beginning of January, and so just wanted to put a face with the name in case you didn't see my one-page spread in our Explorer this past month, but I'm here. I hope that we will continue our great partnerships. I was able to attend the Mac Barnett evening. I believe your technology guy back there, I think I met you that night. So, it's just great that we have such a good working relationship, and it will continue. And I also brought with me Janet Brunel, who is the member of my board that you all have appointed, and I've gotten to know her a little bit, and I know that she was a previous employee of Concord Community Schools, so she brings some knowledge with her on how you all work, and just looking forward to getting to know you all. And please don't hesitate to reach out and get some time with me if you would like. That's also okay if you don't, that's fine. Things are working very well, and that's all. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
for
Thank
coming.
you. Thank you for introducing yourself. That's just wonderful. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, we'll give this back to her. Okay. Let's see. Next up, consent agenda. Minutes from 11:3, executive minutes from 11:3, special meeting from 11:11, accounts payable claims, payroll claims and distribution summary, donations, human resources report, and conference requests.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion by Mrs. Tanner, second by Mr. Malooly. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same. Okay. item 4.1, Dr. Kendall, talk about graduation requirements.
All right, so there will be other people coming up to join me for this. We will not be singing, but anywho. All right, so I am here today to present, looks like they're coming now, the Concord Learning Experience. And this is quite exciting, especially when you see the children up here, because you know that this is going to be something that they'll be able to engage with during their academic careers. So as we've shared quite a bit at length, both this summer and this fall, we are on, moving forward with our strategic plan. So we've done quite a bit of work with academic mastery and literacy, and now we're transitioning to the portrait of a graduate dispositions and their integration that we've talked about, and all of you adopted our skills for the future, future ready skills. So thank you for that. So when we talk about the Concord Learning Experience, we are wholeheartedly committed to making the high school learning experience different. We want to walk through what that will look like for the future here this evening, and basically give you an opportunity to ponder that uniqueness that we would like to offer, provide you an opportunity to ask questions around 3 specific requirements. Now, I know I gave you a packet. This is a terrible teacher and me, put the packet away. You don't need the packet yet. I promise I'll tell you when you need the packet. So for right now, your focus is up here, friends. So just want to reiterate, we're having this in a public meeting, so you can ask questions. You can really grapple with this, because we would ask for your consideration when we come back in December. Oh, look at her. Or is this the mic just saying, just joking? Okay. So anywho, you have seen this before. This isn't new, but this is going to be at the heart of our work as we move forward. And this is the heart of the high school redesign. So the first point being having a broader set of goals. So looking at what our students are gaining within our schooling experience beyond academics. So not saying academics aren't important, but making sure they have a multi-dimensional learning experience. So focusing on critical thinking, focusing on collaboration, communication, those future-ready skills. So the next step then being rigorous and relevant and engaging learning experiences. So making sure that our students, while they're engaging with academics, have an opportunity to integrate those dispositions within real world learning experiences. So making sure, that we're touching on what's happening in life outside of school, so that they can apply those dispositions fruitfully. And then finally, having meaningful and actionable signaling systems. So this part is really important, because we want our students to gain the content knowledge that they need, have the future ready skills, integrate those together, so that students can recognize, okay, I am growing in collaboration, I am growing in critical thinking. So when we're thinking about all this, like I said before, this is the backbone of all of this work. All right, so any questions thus far? Just painting a little bit of perspective here. All right, and before we jump into this, and before you can look at your packet, just want you guys to know that this is grounded in our mission. So making sure that students have academic success in a safe and connected learning environment. So you ready for the uniqueness? Here we go. So the first facet of this is having the expectation that all Concord students will earn a readiness seal, either in employment, enrollment, or enlistment. So now is the opportunity here shortly to look at your packet, but I want to say this as we get started, is we want to make sure that we have rigorous expectations for our students. And the state created these as an indicator for success. So when students earn these, all students at Concord earn these. Essentially, it's saying they have opportunities open to them once they leave high school. Because oftentimes the high school experience is focused on, we want to get you to graduation. How do we get those credits? But we want to empower our students to have credentials of value. We want them to have access to technical certificates. We want them to have access to 2-year and 4-year university experiences, and not just stop at graduation. And I know, having been the high school principal, so often, they were so excited at graduation, and you don't want to take that from them, but then you might see them 3 months later, and that was like the height of their academic career. So we want to get them more prepared for post-secondary life once they get to graduation. So what that looks like are these enrollment seal. Oh, we'll start with the enrollment seal. So what this looks like with the enrollment seal. Now you can look at your back. Yes. Thank you for listening, student Maluli. All right. So there is quite a bit of content here to digest. So I'm not going to go through it all in detail. I've highlighted the parts that I want you to pay close attention to as we work through this. So for those students that want to dive into the enrollment seal, you'll notice at the top part in yellow where it says, how do I know if I should pursue the enrollment seal? And these are people that are looking, these are your students that are your academic honor students, or students that wholeheartedly want to take challenging coursework, that would be those students that definitely want to enter into some type of post-secondary university experience, but at the same time having access to work-based learning. So we're not pigeonholing them like it's only academics or bust, that they have opportunities to, again, do that rigorous, relevant learning experience. So then if you go down to the middle of the page and what constitutes an enrollment seal, these are, again, like I said before, your academic honors courses, having 4 years of world language, having 8 years of math, upper level math at that. You'll notice that you get midway through, you have to earn a C or higher, and you have to have a certain grade point average. So again, having that high expectation. And then you'll note as you progress towards the bottom, you also have to have access to AP courses or college credits. So again, having that high expectation, but then you'll notice at the very bottom, the last thing that is highlighted where it says demonstrate skill development and communication, collaboration, and work ethic. These are those future ready dispositions that we often talk about. However, the state has delineated 3 that they want to make sure that students in the enrollment seal are able to master. For Concord, we're going to have more, but the minimum for the state are these 3. So you adopted those 11, and we'll sprinkle those out through the K-12 experience. But for the enrollment seal, they have to demonstrate these 3 dispositions. So I'm going to pause here in a second, but I want you to turn to the back of that page. And so what you see in front of you is a potential for your schedule. So if a student is taking the enrollment track, they don't necessarily, this is not, you know, their schedule set in stone, but it shows you potentially what those classes will be. And I highlighted a few things that I wanted you to take note of. You'll notice at the top where it says elective, personal financial responsibility, and computing foundations. Those are 2 new graduation requirements that are the same for any student, no matter what seal they have. So that's something new that the state's adopted. And then one thing I also wanted to point out to you towards the bottom is no longer is work-based learning exclusive to 12th grade. Now the focus is getting students out for those real world experiences sooner so they can have access to that in 11th grade. All right, questions about the enrollment seal? So one thing I would encourage you to do is between now and our next meeting, if you want to mark this up and ask additional questions, please do. Again, I'm just highlighting what I think are the most significant parts at this point.
So let's say kid starts down this road and they get like a cumulative C average or whatever. So what do we do at that point? Like, I mean, yeah, obviously I don't know that we would just give him the enlistment or employment seal. What happens?
So at that point, we'd have the conversation. We still want them to graduate with the seal, but we'd have to look at what are the other options that would play, whether it be employment or enlistment. Any other questions about enrollment? All right, let's jump to employment. So you notice at the top, the part that I've highlighted is a differentiation between the enrollment and the employment. The employment seal is more so our career and technical education pathways. So we offer quite a bit here at Concord, whether it be business, construction, advanced manufacturing, what will soon be community, human and community service. So a variety of pathways that students can explore, but then also giving them access to the industry certifications that will get their foot in the door following graduation. So again, it's not, we stop at graduation. You have access to credentials of value that will support you following graduation. So then when you go to the middle of the page and you look what I've highlighted for you, you'll notice that there's different requirements, whether it be that credential of value. When I say credential of value, that can be a technical certificate through Ivy Tech that leads you to a possible associates or a possible 4-year degree. It can also be some type of, we have the construction pathway, for example, has a credential of value that's tied to it. So again, that gets them that tangible credential that they can take with them when they enter into the workforce. You will notice what's different between this one and the enrollment seal is that work-based learning is a requirement, as well as the communication, collaboration, and work ethic, future-ready dispositions. And if you're very good at paying attention to the details, you'll notice that there's an attendance goal tied with this seal that is not tied to the enrollment seal. And then one thing I wanted you to note when you turn the page to the back, again, it's very similar when it comes to the enrollment seal and the sequence of courses, including access to work-based learning starting your junior year, getting kids out in the field. Questions about this one?
Let's say I start on this employment honors or, whatever, or maybe, is there another employment one or is this the employment?
This is the employment.
Okay.
Yeah.
And, I get about halfway through grade 10 and I say, I'm really good at, these math things and I think I want to try for, like a 4-year degree or something. How easy is it to kind of maneuver my way into that enrollment track?
So we'll set students up to be able to do that. I will say that if you want to go in that direction, we're going to have to hustle. It's not one of those things where we'd have to integrate some classes. There might be summer school that's required as a part of it, but it is possible. We would just need to make sure to make the use of our time effectively.
So is there a point of no return somewhere? Or?
I would say the point of no return is closer to the end of the junior, start of the senior year, but again, anything's possible. Right?
So Mike asked, going from employment honors to enrollment, what about the reverse?
So going from enrollment to employment? Yes.
Is that just as tricky?
I will say one thing we would have to do is make sure you can fit in your CTE classes or your pathway classes would be the biggest hurdle because those are year-long courses and we want to make sure that students have time to finish those. Okay. And one thing we don't want to do is take away from the time that they would dedicate to work-based learning too. So we'd have to find a creative way to do that because that's the most essential part of this whole process.
Okay. So if a student is like a C average student and they have like 5 absences a year, what happens?
Unexcused absence.
Yeah. There's truly a lot of kids into that category.
Well, the one thing is, the caveat is that they have to be unexcused. We'd really want to preach, calling in those absences, but knowing that you have a C average that really hampers you with the enrollment seal. So,
just in the other fields, there's no grade point average, but it says you have to have at least 1 year of school and no more than 3 unexcused absences.
Right. So it's something we'd have to reiterate with kids. You've got to have your parents call you in. Yeah.
So is this basically the academic honors diploma? Is that?
So the enrollment seal mirrors that. Okay. I wouldn't say they're essentially the same, but they mirror one another. All right, and so the last seal then, as we jump to enlistment, I know that we've talked about this with the JROTC programming that we're looking to bring, but I want to make sure that our community understands that this is a leadership course. You're not tied to enlist once you complete your graduation requirements. And it's also service oriented. You could go into law enforcement, anything in public service. It's not limited to military. And so, you'll notice then in the middle there, though, we will have access, all students will have access to JROTC programming during their high school careers, and that fits every year except their freshman year into their schedules. And then when you look at the ASVAB, that is a requirement because the coursework they would be doing would then be preparing them to take that test. Then you'll notice towards the bottom there that's highlighted, again, they have to do the communication, collaboration, work ethic. They have to prove that they've mastered those skills, and we'll be building systems for them to do that. But what's unique about this is this will be verified through military personnel, veterans, or other public safety professionals. So it wouldn't necessarily be in-house, so we get to connect the students with folks in our community. And then when you turn the paper over, the biggest difference here is that you'll notice they'll take their enlistment programming each year except their freshman year, but they too will have access to work-based learning. And while it's not highlighted in the junior year, again, this is just a suggested course of study. There is the potential for them to be out in the workforce during that junior year. And then really quick, because I know I'm taking a long time here, we did want to show you, there's two handouts at the back. There's one for performing arts and athletics. And the biggest thing that we want you to see here are these are the expectations for the enrollment seal. And that even if you're in performing arts, even if you're in athletics, you still have room if you turn to the back to fit in your music or your athletic weight. So no matter what type of student and what your interests are, you still have access to that programming. So one seal doesn't shut you out from that.
So, okay. A majority, I don't even want to say majority, but a large number of kids that are going to be interested in JROTC are going to be kids that also want to go to a service academy. Is that a fair statement? How would we address those kids when they come in their freshman year saying, I want to go to West Point? Are we planning to push them into the enlistment track, or are we going to do what really needs to be done and make sure they're going into that enrollment track, because that's what they need to be doing?
Right. If a kid truly, if that's the angle they want to go, I would say that you need to do enrollment and enlistment. You can do more than one seal. We'd have to make sure they're ready to buckle down and do that. But yes, a West Point student, we would say you're doing both.
Good point.
All right. Any other questions over this portion?
Are the requirements, are those state driven or ours or a combination?
The requirements are state driven. The expectation that you will leave with a seal is Concord. So you do not have to graduate with a seal in the state of Indiana. That is an expectation that we're going to have for our students. So that's what's unique.
Secret Santa. No, I'm just kidding.
That song is stuck in my head though.
I know you can dance.
I know it, man. So the other thing that we're asking for consideration on is students and parents will participate in college and career pathway planning meeting with a college and career advisor or school counselor. So this would be a required meeting that would be for all students. We had thought about the idea of like maybe eighth grade, ninth grade, and 10th grade, where they would sit down and be part of our CCL experience. So over there on the far right, we talk about discovery, exploration, and navigation, because parents are the #1 influence on the students' behavior, their choices, all of those things when it comes to education. And so we want to make sure that we include them in, because people who are outside of the building, they don't understand all the questions and all the choices that students have at their hand and what they have to, the decisions they have to make. And so these meetings will allow us to fill the gaps of missing information to help the student make the best choice for them and for their future. And so the parent understands what decisions that they're making. And then we'll have to have some flexibility with that because not everybody can meet during the school day. And so part of this plan, we would be finding all of our people that be able to help us with this initiative. And so maybe bringing in some teachers, some other people in the district to meet after school with parents who can't meet during the school day.
There be a virtual option.
Yeah, and I think virtual or phone call, those are all things that could be discussed. I mean, it's no different than some of our IEP meetings. We have those over the phones or we have those virtual. But I think just getting in front of our families to explain, you know, what happens here at Concord High School and what decisions students are making, we feel that's the best way for a student to be successful.
So are these one-on-one meetings or is it like a mass meeting like we
It'll
get?
be one-on-one. Okay. So like you bring your student in and they would meet with a advisor or a school counselor to talk about their schedule, what are their goals. So like, you know, you would have a meeting in 8th grade and, you know, someone says, I want to go to West Point. They would meet with the advisor. Here's what you got to do to make that happen. And then they go again, 9th grade. I want to go to West Point. Okay, here's what we got to do to make that happen. They meet again in 10th grade. I don't want to go to West Point. Here are your options, right? Instead of just having a student, because right now the student meets with the school counselor and sometimes the parents aren't aware of the decisions that are made or they don't understand them. And so we're trying to fill that gap, especially with all the flexibility this new diploma requirement gives us.
Will it be, because we're talking about what, 400 kids per grade? Do we have enough counseling stuff to get those done in a timely manner?
We're looking at adding some college and career advisors. And I think that depending on like the roles that we give, there'll be some things taken off the plates of advisors that are typically on school counselors to allow them for more time. And as we looking at all of our people for meeting families outside of school, I think we get the job done.
When's the goal to have this roll out?
This would be starting for next year.
Starting for next year?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
For our sophomores and freshmen. Because that's the freshman class right now is what the new diploma is required.
Okay.
All righty.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to present to you 4 points tonight about an update and what we're thinking and we would like you to consider and then ask questions about that all deal with our portrait of a graduate. So the first one is, as you know, the portrait of a graduate dispositions were updated with the skills for the future and that there are 11 of them. We're not going to start with all 11, however. We're going to focus on the 3 that the state is really focusing on at the high school level. They are collaboration and communication. The third one from the state, as you've heard, is work ethic. But we're going to be using the concept of perseverance and tying it in with the state's requirements for work ethic at the same time. So those are the 3 specific ones that we're going to focus on. As we're focusing on them, we know that academics are very important and so are future ready skills. That is what each kid needs in order to be able to be successful with whatever it is they want to be successful with after high school. So we are not going to just stick to the high school, but move on down through grade bands. So like 9 through 12, 5 through 8 for middle school and a K through 4. To some degree, this is already happening K through 4 through the school counselors. So this is kind of a 5 through 12 initiative right now. And we're going to do this slowly over time in chunks so that it is meaningful to the student and the staff. Because our overall goal is to integrate this into the curriculum and the classroom expectations. And so as we are moving in that direction, we're wondering how this works best for Concord. So we have several pilots that we're going to be working through second semester. That way we can figure out different ways to approach it, different ways to utilize it in the classroom, but also communicate that home to the parent. So if I'm a 5th or 6th grade parent and I find out that this is where my student has strengths in and interest in, what does that tell me about my child? but also then how can I help support them as they go to middle school and they're starting to pick classes or they're starting to talk about career clusters, and then how does that help me support my student as they're going through high school and picking their classes, their seal, and so on. So it's an overall view of the portrait of a graduate being future ready and full of academic mastery at the same time. As we're going through those pilots, we're really going to gather feedback and figure out what are the best systems and how to track it. So the state is going to ask us to track communication, collaboration, and work ethic, but we know that there will be 11 total. And we want a system to be seamless. We don't want just a whole bunch of different software pieces everyone logs into. So we want it to be seamless. We want it to be meaningful to the student. We don't want it to be cumbersome to the teacher, and we also want it to be able to communicate back to the student and the parent. So we have a bunch of different things that we'll be looking at next semester in a variety of classrooms in order to figure out the best way to facilitate that. So as we were working to align those systems and track them, the next steps are up there in case you're wondering about this. We're going to be looking at a portfolio or capstone process. So what that means is some schools around the nation, which we've learned through the Carnegie, is they'll have students upload things throughout their time. So what it looks like in K through 4 would be different 9 through 12, and you can see progression and growth over time. Another thing is to do a capstone or some form of a presentation or a project at the end where you are having to verbalize and communicate how you have seen your growth over time. So you're thinking about your thinking and you're thinking about your growth. And then not only were we looking at that, but we're looking at, especially at the secondary level, as we are working the dispositions into the units that are created, what's the best way to do that? So for example, social studies is a perfect one to work in maybe collaboration on projects or civic engagement or use of digital literacy to show that you've actually researched well and you've looked through everything. So how does that look? But asking the teachers for their input so it's meaningful and in their curriculum. That was a whole lot. Questions? Okay.
All right, so can you do the thing? Thank you. So as we wrap up here, just again, circling back to these 3 expectations that are unique to Concord graduates, and that's what we would like you to consider. So the requirement of the SEAL attainment, the mandatory parent and student meeting to go over the academic planning, and then also mastery of the portrait of a graduate dispositions. And knowing what comes with that is the expectation of a portfolio or some type of capstone project as we build that system. I want to say that this is, I can say probably with certainty that this is unique to Concord. This, I don't know of other schools, they might require these seals, but the combination of the 3 together are certainly unique to our district. And so, yeah, exciting for our children. Yeah. What questions do you have as we wrap up? It's a lot.
I got nothing. You got them all.
Well, like I said, we'll be back in December to ask for your formal consideration. If you have questions before them, or if you want an independent tutoring session over all of this material, just call me.
Okay. Question, special education?
Yes. I did want to share, when it comes to this, we have locally created pathways that will support student attainment, especially when it comes to the different seals. I do want to share with you, similar to what we do with students that need to go from maybe a core 40 diploma like we have now to a general diploma, we have like a parent meeting. We sit down, Jenna or Joel could attest to this, but if a student truly isn't able to meet that mark, we will have systems to make sure they cross the finish line. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next up, 5.1, facility construction update. Aaron, hi.
Hi, I'm Aaron Holy, Director of Operations with Wygand Construction. I'm here today to give everyone an update on the work we've had the privilege of doing at 2 of your elementary schools and over at Jake Field. So I figured a picture is worth 1,000 words. So we'll run through some pictures. I'll just give some quick updates. So we'll start with Southside Elementary. So at Southside Elementary, we took on 10 classrooms, the offices, the gymnasium, all of the bathrooms, a whole lot of work.
Parking lot.
Parking lot, complete parking lot, site overhaul, and playground. So what you're looking at here, with Southside, I gave some before and some afters to give you a flavor for what they looked like before. But in the office area, we did open up some walls, opened up the space a lot, and allowed for some secure access and good circulation. Mind control. That was easy. Okay, another picture of the office, again, just giving you a flavor, so I'll apologize. These, as you can see, are being lived in and actively used when we took them, which is a good thing. So you can see the mailroom, and then you have a hallway where there's the countertop space for students. Okay, so this would be an Area A bathroom when you first walk into Southside, be on your left-hand side. And you can get a flavor for what it used to look like, and then the new, very different. A lot of big upgrades there, ceiling, lighting, flooring, all the above.
ADA compliance, it's nice.
Yeah, so there's Jeff telling us how much he didn't want us to get rid of that beautiful tile and the step above or below the urinal. So this is the Area B restroom. So you walk through the doors, go straight down the hallway, be on your left-hand side. That Area B restroom is a little bit more confined. So what I showed was a picture of the new Area C restrooms. So these would have been the old bathrooms and what would have been a locker room off of that gym. So a very nice usable space. Classroom, this would be a typical classroom space over at Southside. And a new classroom. So we have new casework on maybe 2 or 3, maybe all the elevations. So the architect designed kind of a mix of, if the casework was in really good condition, to use, good economy of scale of saving some money. Some of the casework was saved. In a lot of cases, a lot of casework was replaced. New heating and cooling units that are ducted now to give good circulation throughout the space. So you can see through the center of the ceiling there, there's a drywall bulkhead, and that's encasing a duct with grills throwing air throughout the room. Flooring, furniture, all the above. So gym, before and after, new bleachers, opened up the ceiling, new lighting, gym floor redone, new basketball hoops, pretty much you name it, it got touched. Fresh paint, acoustical padding, and then some pictures of the site work. So brand new playground. It got relocated down around to the south side of the building. Basketball courts, new site fencing, a lot of site concrete. So phasing. So at Southside, took some notes, just high level numbers. So at Southside, we have completed 41% of the total square foot of that building has been touched thus far. So by the time we're done, we'll get through 100%. Every bit of that building will get touched. The completion date is March of 2027. The phasing, the way we're taking on the phasing, and to give you some flavor for what we've hit. So everything in red is what we took on this summer, along with the green, the offices. And then what we're taking on is roughly 4 classrooms at a time now. So while the building's being used, 4 classrooms at a time, rinse and repeat. So that's roughly a 6-week cycle on those classrooms that we're going in and doing those. But it's a total of just about 32,000 square feet that we've renovated so far. Jump into Oxbow. So again, Oxbow, secure entry, vestibule. You can see kind of the main corridor thoroughfare there, looking back at the main entry. Lighting, ceilings, paint, freshened everything up. So this would be the office space, casework, again, complete gut and renovation of the front office area. Private restroom, very nice, spacious office there with some conference space, ADA compliant, sink, all the things. Again, with the gymnasium, very similar scope to what we went over with Southside, pretty much a complete overhaul. Opened up the ceiling, new lighting, fresh floor, bleachers, basketball hoops. Very different feel in there. And then you'll see on the left-hand side would be the art room. So new deep sinks, typical classroom spaces. So the picture on the right would be a good example of some casework that, again, to make good use of the money and the dollars. Casework was in fantastic condition. So that casework remained as existing. In a lot of cases, we may replace flooring, new unit vents, ceiling lighting, everything gets freshened up. Paint, whiteboards, tack boards. Okay, Oxbow. So on Oxbow, we have, it's virtually just about the same, 31,000 square foot we've done thus far in Oxbow. Our completion date on construction is scheduled for August of 2026. So we'll get through next summer. That's the plan, to have all the work done over at Oxbow. You may well know that Southside has more scope there with a big addition for a cafeteria, and that's the reason for the duration on that one. And then this phasing is very similar. We're taking on 4 classrooms at a time while school's in session. We're avoiding the testing periods to allow for good testing and quiet time, things like that. All right, Jake Field. So Jake Field, I did not embed any videos into this. I'm operating under the premise most of you have probably seen some of those videos. If you haven't, there's some really good drone videos that we've done. You can find it on YouTube. You can just YouTube Wygand, Concord Jake Field, and you'll probably see all kinds of videos that we published on that. Some really good hike videos too, I think. But the turf is complete. As of today, the turf is done. The track installations, roughly 50%. The buildings are well underway. The buildings, I'll just move through my pictures here. That will help. So some of the site elements, field goal posts, lighting. We've got the rock out there, the traditional rock, fully intact. And then bleachers. So the grandstand bleachers are going up actively. They have probably another couple of weeks before they wrap those up. They'll look to move to the press box, setting the press box, and then they'll move over to the visitor bleachers. Ooh, I like this before and after. So yeah, what used to be at the north end of the park and what is now going up at the north end, the concession building. In the concession building, we're currently doing plumbing rough-ins. There's still some block walls that are going up. Yeah, inside picture you can see. So that would be a chase wall inside of a set of men's and women's toilet rooms or bathrooms. And so you can see get a flavor for the status on the inside of that building. And then here's a picture of the team building at the south end. So the steel framework you see here is for scoreboard. And then on the interior of the team's building, I would say that schedule is probably roughly, say, 6 weeks ahead of the concession building. So that building, we're well underway with putting finishes in. I actually, the picture I decided to share was actually a little bit further back than some of the new stuff, but I thought you could see the floor kind of finished out would be nice. But since then, we've got finished paint on the ceiling and a green stripe on the wall, and it's come together. And that's all I had for photos. For construction, we are just about 50%, 58% complete on the Jake Field project. is where we're at. And the completion date, we are looking to be complete end of May of 2026. And I'm convinced that our construction is the good luck charm we needed. Maybe we'll be going to play twice under the dome. Are there any questions?
Do you like how nice and centered that Minuteman logo looks?
So, we asked Aaron here, mainly so you could ask questions. If you have any questions, we will. We'll take tours of the different areas, especially as weather allows. We were at Oxbow, a week ago. We'll be at Southside before too long. Plan to have ribbon cuttings on the major projects, as well as all part of that. But he's also here to answer any questions you might have about scheduling, timeline, anything like that. Did you talk about the scoreboard? When's the scoreboard going in?
I tried getting an update on that right before I came. We've been dogging that vendor, trying to get a date commitment out of them. So it will likely be, right now they're thinking January, but.
What, I know the football team can't practice on yet, it's an active construction zone or whatever. How does that work? March for track, and I know that we're gonna want to throw and stuff out on those areas and whatnot. Is that still not gonna be anything until the end of May, or is that?
Unfortunately, no. Yeah. So, and that was the plan, but construction unfortunately won't be done on that track. We're limited with some temperature requirements, restraints.
I guess more so like what I was told is football can't be on the field because just the entire area is a construction zone. And so as far as like throwers want to go throw shot and disc, are they going to be able to do that even though the track's not done, or is that?
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. If there's areas that we can certainly make safe in terms of environment, and there's no impact on a warranty for the school, you bet we'll open those up and make them available, and we've communicated some of that as everyone sees fit and feels good about. So yeah, that would be fine. And in fact, I didn't talk about but some of that concrete's going down on those field events and things like that already. So.
Good.
All right.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Sharon?
Yeah.
Okay, next up, financial reports with Courtney.
Good evening, board. I'm here to present our financials. Everything, cash balances are looking where we would expect them to be. Note that our October education fund balance is a little bit lower. It was a 3-pay month in October. And we also shored up the curricular materials. So taking some of that money out of the education fund from July on and moving it back in over to the curricular materials fund.
You guys keep making it easy on her. Come on, fire some questions at her.
I was just gonna let it go, and he's the one that's gonna say it.
We are gonna spend some of that food service money on the kitchens at Oxbow and Southside coming up here.
I
So
think we said about $900,000 of that is for construction. So
yeah, which will also save us some construction costs that we hadn't anticipated. So thanks to food service.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Towner, second by Mr. Koontz. Any more questions for Courtney?
thank you.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say. Okay. Okay, next up, we're talking about Medicaid billing.
Yes,
Thank you.
Medicaid billing, absolutely. So I'd like the board to consider tonight a contract with Relay. Relay is a company that can provide us access to Medicaid reimbursement in a way that we haven't had before. It's a company we haven't worked with previously. What they tout is the ability to correct any mistakes prior to us having to submit reimbursement, which allows us to change mistakes that might occur ahead of that happening and then ensures that billing will occur the way we want it to. We're also looking at expanding how we would reimburse for Medicaid into other areas like transportation, as well as nursing services, and Relay will help us do that.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Malloy, second by Mr. Coates. Any more questions for Joel? Okay, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same? Okay, thank you. Okay. Handbooks. Ms. Spear.
Good evening, board. Here tonight for your consideration of 6 handbooks, the Certified Adjunct Classified Professional Administrative and Transportation handbooks and their associated salary schedules. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Motion to approve.
I second.
Motion by Mr. Malloy, second by Mrs. Towner. Questions for Ms. Spear?
Spent a lot of time with handbooks, haven't you, lately?
It's been fun.
Have they all been touched at this point?
They've all been touched again. Yes.
Fantastic.
Until Neola comes again.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same? Okay. So, okay. Now, Julie's gonna talk to us about Qualtrics renewal.
Yes, so for almost 3 years, we've been successfully implementing this Qualtrics platform, not to toot our own horns, but we're pretty good at it, and we've been recognized at the national conference, so that's exciting. It's also been really, really powerful for us just in the data that we're able to obtain from staff surveys. We're finding different ways to embed it in our daily work. We are asking you tonight to consider a 3-year renewal of the Qualtrics platform. We're actually bringing this to you just a little bit early because they are about to change their pricing structures, and we wanted to lock in at a lower rate rather than wait out the rest of our contract. That also buys us some new cool AI things that we can do, and we're hopeful that will make our work even quicker in the platform. So what you're seeing there is a new contract that will match our current costs for the first year and then will increase for years 2 and 3.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Towner, second by Mr. Coates. So is this amount for the renewal in years 2 and 3, is that is the percentage increase what you expected?
That's what we expected. We heard it could be a little bit higher, but again, that's why we're doing it now and not waiting until we have to renew.
Any other questions about the Qualtrics? Okay. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same? Okay. Okay. How do you say that? Do you say CESA?
CISA 6.
CISA? Okay, CISA 6 renewal.
Sure. This next one is for a contract with CISA 6, a third-party provider that is supporting the back end of the platform. So we are building our own surveys, our own dashboards, doing all of that work in-house. We do have a partnership with Josh Borzik and his team, and he really just helps clean up the mess occasionally at this point. We'll call him with questions when something doesn't work like it should. But you can see when we started, we were using him for 45 hours. The second year, we were doing a ton of building. We used about 70 hours. This time, we're asking for 10, and we feel confident that's going to support our needs on the back end, and we've got a great team here supporting the rest.
Is that because a lot of the heavy lifting is pretty much done?
It's because we're awesome and the heavy lifting is underway. Yes.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Malloy, second by Mrs. Towner. More questions for Julie? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Opposed, the same? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. It's like the Dr. Lisa show. Okay.
So I'm here. Lee apologizes that she was unable to be here tonight, but I'm asking for your consideration on the routing efficiency proposal. Unlike last year, quite a bit of districts are seeking bus rider routing company services. And so now they are requiring us to pay for those services when it comes to evaluating our routing efficiency. So seeking your approval on that. I will say that we have put an expectation of a tight turnaround time as far as them evaluating those, seeing that we're paying for it. But I do think this is also key because soon the bypass is going to open, and really excited how that also will improve our timeliness with our routing. So asking for your consideration.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Cook, second by Mr. Malloy. Okay. So what kind of turnaround time?
So they said 7 to 10 days.
Oh.
I think that's very
I think,
ambitious, but
okay.
we'll push.
So one of the things they look at, deals with, the number of tiers, bell times. Is that action that will come to us if they make
Yeah,
recommendations?
so
Okay.
they would put it on paper and then we'd bring it to you guys on what their suggestions are.
Any questions? Okay. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Okay. Thank you. Okay, CCS and Head Start
Or is that
MOU.
rain?
Mr. President.
That's what I'd like to know.
I was gonna say, is that a fan or is that rain?
I think it's a fan.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so the federal government requires that every year Concord and Head Start agree to an MOU. I'd say nothing's really changing with the MOU. One difference I will say about Head Start this year is in the past, it's really lacked supervision. They have had a hard time finding supervisors to supervise the preschools. And this year we proposed to them, just as a reminder to you, that Aaron Kennedy, our preschool director, also serve as supervisor for the Head Start room. So that helps with alignment. It just helps with a lot of things. And so I'd say that's going well. So then Head Start is paying for half, right, Mr. Myers? Is paying for half of her salary since she's doing that for them. And it really is just a benefit to us. So that's really the only change to Head Start programming this year is that Aaron's doing that.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Towner, second by Mr. Cooks. Any questions or comments? About the meeting? Okay.
All right.
All those in favor
I
of the
know-
motion say
oh.
aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Okay, go ahead.
Jump to the next item. I know we have fall awards banquet at the higher program at the high school here at 6:30. So I won't review everything. There's events listed on the superintendent report there. So there's a lot going on in the next month or so. Carla put that in there for us. So thank you to Carla. Want to reiterate what was presented tonight, and that is that even though the state of Indiana is proposing new state guidelines for high school graduation, you as a board have to adopt local requirements for graduation. And so the presentation that was made for you tonight and that we'll ask you to consider in December is that you're setting the graduation requirements for the kids in this district. We think we're proposing rigorous expectations for our students because we think it's our job to get them off to a good, get them off on the right foot. We think that a lot of things are random acts. What the SEALs do, what I think we all like about the SEALs the most, is that it aligns those random acts into something meaningful and credentials for our students. We think that if we provide the support and set high expectations for kids, that they can meet them. That support's going to come in, in a lot of different ways, but advising, which is what Kendra talked about tonight, we've got to get with our students and our parents early so that people clearly know the expectations. But we didn't want to start these new diploma requirements setting a low bar. We wanted to propose something that we think is rigorous to you, which is that students earn a SEAL, that the family participates in meetings with advisors, because this can't happen without a partnership with our families, and that our kids show some mastery of these college and career readiness skills. We call them portrait of a graduate, dispositions, whatever you call it. These are things that our kids are going to need to be successful. We want them to show us somehow that being developed, but that they've done that. So it's a big task. I would encourage you to reach out to Lisa, Kendra, Jeff with any questions you have about any of the material or anything that we'll come back in December and ask you to consider. So that's it. Congratulations to football and everything that's going well. Tons of great things happening here very thankful around Thanksgiving. So.
I just got a couple more questions now. I'm going to email Lisa about the, so a couple things you said. So thank you. Okay, sharing from the board, the chatty board. Okay. I'm really sorry I missed the football game. Sounds like I missed a really.
Watch it online.
Watch it, that's
The
true.
replay.
Yeah, my husband was kind of showing me what I missed online. I'm like, oh, okay. So, anyway.
We'll say we've become very superstitious, all of us, watching, like, if anybody moved or was not in the correct spot, we attributed any success or failure to that. So, wear the same clothes, same socks, same undergarments that you wore on Friday.
Wait, maybe
to the football
maybe
game.
I was on the bus. We won and I wasn't there. So maybe I don't know.
Full spirit.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so do you want to quickly go over upcoming board meetings?
Yeah, next, we have an exec session on the 15th to evaluate the superintendent. That's at 4, regular meeting at 5. We do, and it's, I think it was in the previous item there, we do have a gathering for employees, free coffee and treats and things happening in December as well, so.
Okay. Anybody else have anything else? Okay, thank you everyone for coming. Meeting adjourned at 6:05.
There we go.
Thank you.